Namaste, Jai Hind. Welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narasimhan, coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Green Lamb Laminates. The JPC Waqf panel adopted the revised draft report earlier in the day this Wednesday. CNN News 18 was the first channel to access the amended Waqf draft report on Tuesday. And here on The Right Stand, we brought you the key provisions. The members spotted some sort of consensus earlier in the day on the bill and appeared unanimous over jalebis and samosas. But there has been opposition to the draft report, with several opposition MPs, including the Trinamool Congress's Kalyan Banerjee, AIMIM's Asaduddin Owaisi and DMK's Andimuthu Raja submitting dissent notes. Now, let's quickly take you through the provisions of the Waqf draft report. 2 Muslim women will continue to be included as members in both the state and the Central Waqf Boards or the Central Waqf Council, State Waqf Board and the Central Waqf Council. They will ensure Muslim women's empowerment and participation in Waqf management. The State Waqf Boards will now include 1 member from the Muslim OBC community, ensuring broader representation. The state government may establish separate Waqf boards for the Aga Khani and Bohra communities, acknowledging their distinct religious needs. Women's inheritance rights will be safeguarded. A Waqf can dedicate property only after ensuring that female heirs receive their rightful share. Registered Waqf by the user will continue to be recognized as Waqf except in cases where the property is under dispute or owned by the government. The online registration process will be reintroduced to automate the entire life cycle of Waqf properties through the portal. Online registration certificates of the Waqf properties will be issued through the portal. The finality of tribunal decisions has been removed. Any aggrieved person can now appeal to the High Court within 90 days of the tribunal's decision. The income from Waqf al-Aulad can be used to support widows, divorced women and orphans, if specified by the Waqf. If a government property is claimed as Waqf, an officer above the rank of collector, notified by the state government, will conduct an inquiry as per the law. Until the report is submitted, such government properties will not be treated as Waqf. The Limitation Act will apply to all Waqf-related cases from the commencement of this Act, ensuring timely resolution and preventing prolonged litigation. Waqf boards must upload all Waqf property details on a central portal within 6 months. The Waqf tribunal may grant extensions on a case-by-case basis. Muslim trusts that function similarly to the Waqf but are governed by trust laws will be excluded from the Waqf Act 1995, preventing legal conflicts. Also, the Waqf board has also recommended, or the panel has recommended, that someone who has been practicing Islam for at least 5 years, only such people can dedicate properties to the Waqf. This entire Waqf Act will also be renamed. I'll tell you the revised name in a bit. But along with that, let's try and understand how big is the Waqf board and its properties or its holdings. The Waqf board is the 3rd largest owner in Bharat, after the Indian Railways, the Armed Forces. Bharat's Defence Ministry owns a little less than 18 lakh acres of land, while the Railways owns about 12 lakh acres. Waqf boards, state and central Waqf council, cumulatively across the country, own a little over 9 lakh acres of land. The Waqf board, by its own admission, has assets worth 1.2 lakh crore rupees. The area spans over 9.4 lakh acres with over 3 lakh estates around the country. Waqf boards has over 8 lakh immovable properties and 16,000 movable ones. Now, we have shown reports of how Waqf has encroached upon land and also expanded over the last few decades. The larger question is the opposition backing appeasement above reform? In August 2024, an entire village in Govindpur, Bihar was declared as Waqf. In September 2024, Waqf claimed ownership of 6 ancient Hindu temples in Delhi. In September 2024, Waqf board claimed 200 properties in Delhi. In October 2024, Waqf claimed ownership of 31 Ahmedabad civic body properties. In October 2024, the Waqf board claimed farmers' land in Karnataka's Vijaypura. 3 weeks ago, Islamic cleric and president of the All India Muslim Jamaat, Maulana Shahabuddin Razvi Barelvi, made a ludicrous claim saying that the Prayagraj's Mahakumbh 2025 event was being held on land owned by the Waqf board. There is also the case in Tamil Nadu, where an entire temple town, which is more than 2,000 years old, is being claimed currently as Waqf land, although the court dismissed such a claim. Has the opposition submitted dissent notes keeping all these factors in mind? That's the question that we ask. Kamru Chaudhary is joining us. We should also have Aparajita Sarangi, Lok Sabha MP and national spokesperson of the BJP, also joining us. The Waqf Act will now be renamed as the Unified Waqf Management, Empowerment, Efficiency and Development Act. That is what they are saying, that this is how they're going to call the bill. The amendment saying that this will try and make it more transparent, accountable governance in Waqf management. That's what they endeavor to enable, empower or enable going forward. I'm just reading some of the clauses that were sent by Payal Mehta last evening, where they also said that one of the things that they're going to bring in is that a person should be practicing Islam for at least 5 years consistently before he or she can dedicate any property to Waqf. Kamru Chaudhary, your thoughts?
Yeah, basically, you see, the main purpose of the Waqf Amendment Bill was to do away with the various indiscrepancies that have come up, or we also felt that the Waqf Board should be, or the Waqf Act should be amended for a different reasons than what BJP thinks. We thought there is rampant corruption within the Waqf Board, encroachments that cannot be removed from the Waqf properties. These are some of the amendments that we thought that Waqf Act or 2024 would have brought. We wanted the Waqf board to be completely out of government control. Rather, the community manages the Waqf properties. But none of this has come in. Now, what does this suggest? That the BJP government, by its majoritarian approach, has introduced the bill in the parliament. And in the JPC also we saw, despite around 5 crore plus objections coming to the Waqf Amendment Bill 2024, none of the amendments by the JPC opposition members were accepted by the JPC chairman. In fact, we feel as of now, the community rather feels, I'm not speaking here as a congressman, but as a community member, I feel that the community has been let down by the JPC, and the JPC is just an eyewash to hoodwink the public that, we have gone into a thorough consultation across the length and breadth of the country. But despite numerous objections coming in from the stakeholders of the Waqf, one thing you must understand, Anand, that Waqf, as you suggested, that some maybe unscrupulous elements laid claims to some properties saying it to be Waqf. But you must understand their ulterior motives. Like you mentioned one name of All India Muslim Jamaat. Where is that organization coming from? Who is heading that organization? Nobody knows how many followers are there in that organization. But the actual representative bodies of the Muslims in India, like the Jamaat-e-Ulama-e-Hind or the various state Waqf boards or various other organizations that are there. So these objections rather were not, I'm not going into clause by clause details because Madam is a honored member of the JPC out here. She knows better what the clauses were discussed. And as far as I know from the opposition members of the JPC, clause by clause discussions were not taken. Rather, a lump sum amendments by the treasury benches were accepted by the chairman. Amendments were moved by them, passed by them, and all opposition amendments were rejected. Then what was the use of the JPC? This is just an eyewash and nothing more than that. Right. I doubt if the community will accept this Waqf bill. I have a fear that it might turn into another CAA.
So are you threatening the fact that people are going to take to the streets rather than respect the wishes of Parliament? Is that what it's going to be engineered? Just like the kind of 5 crore petitions or queries that were objections that were raised, nearly 60% of those that were generated online were beyond the shores of Bharat itself. They were IP addresses from Pakistan, from Malaysia, from Turkey, and from other places. No, so why? So wasn't somebody deliberately trying to engineer these? This has not come from local entities, Kamru Chaudhary. No. So is not somebody deliberately trying to engineer so that nobody touches the Waqf, and this government does not do anything in terms of reform when it comes to the Muslim Samudaya? So there is also there are also real issues where Muslims are suffering. Pashmanda are suffering, the Aga Khani are suffering, the Bohri are suffering. They are all different sects, different classes. The OBC among the Muslims are also suffering. No representation of women is happening. All of these are they not good positive reforms? They are all there as part of the amendments. So why would anybody object to them? Or is it just an eyewash कि अंदर खाने सब बोला जो करना है आप करिए लेकिन बाहर जाके we have got to oppose? Let's ask Aparajita sir.
Just one small clarification, then you can go to the honorable madam here out here. When Aparajita ji along with the entire JPC came to Calcutta in the 5-star hotel, there was a meeting. We also led a delegation. We submitted a delegation in person to the JPC chairman out there. If you want, I can show you the photographs out here. We submitted. He asked us what is your main problem out here. We listed some 4 or 5 points that are there in which we have got major objections on the Waqf Amendment Act. But none were coming out as you were reading out the draft of the bill that is going to be presented in the monsoon session. None of the amendments moved by anybody, any parliamentarian, irrespective of the political affiliations, were accepted by the JPC. No, so what the JPC was constituted in the first place?
No, that is an assumption you are making basis what we have.
If you want to publish,
Kamruji, let her speak.
Agenda, then it's
okay, yours. You made a point. Let her respond to it. It's a 655-page report. We have just highlighted some of the salient features, 13, 14 important critical amendments that came to light with us when Payal Mehta was able to access this information. Now, Aparajita ji, thank you for your patience. Please answer what the opposition's criticism is. Representations were made, honest, earnest representations, constructive suggestions were made. They have been overruled. The government is just trying to bulldoze its way. Clause by clause amendments were not taken up. These are all some of the points that have been raised. Please.
A very good evening. In fact, I expected these observations. We are aware of the fact that the Joint Parliamentary Committee was constituted in the Lok Sabha on 9th of August 24. And the first meeting of this committee had taken place on 22nd August 24. From 22nd August 24 till today, I think 38 meetings had been convened and we spent more than 112 hours. We also moved to different states. And we also talked to a couple of organizations there in different states who were not able to make to Delhi. And as far as the organizations and stakeholders are concerned, let me tell you that more than 286 organizations of league stakeholders have been consulted. Now, I say with all conviction at my command that this is one of the most meticulous exercises which has taken place. And we made an effort, rather the chairperson made an effort to take everybody along and to say that the suggestions of the opposition members or the suggestions of organizations whom we met all through have not been taken on board is actually far from the truth. I'll give you 2 examples. Number 1, they had been creating a ruckus regarding the positioning of the collector. They said, why should the collector be at the center stage 1, and number 2, why should he or she be entrusted with the job of doing the enquiry as regards the status of a particular piece of land, whether it is Waqf or not. In fact, we actually understood this particular point, and it was decided at the end that the state government will nominate somebody above the collector to get into the enquiry issue. Enquiry will not be done by the collector. So this is definitely, we showed respect, or rather the committee showed the respect to some of the suggestions which had come regarding this particular viewpoint regarding the collector being at the center stage 1. Number 2, the amendment that I moved was in line with one of the concerns raised by some of the organizations. Now, what was that concern? The concern was, in one particular clause of the proposed bill, it was written that all the details of the Waqf properties would be uploaded in the portal and the database would be created in within 6 months of the coming of the act. Now everybody said, many of the organizations said, no, it's not possible, 6 months is a very short time and all that. And then ultimately, giving importance to this particular viewpoint, giving respect to this particular viewpoint, the amendment that I moved said that, okay, if any muttawali means the caretaker of a Waqf property, any muttawali feels that within 6 months, he or she will not be able to upload in the portal the details of the Waqf properties, he or she is free to approach the tribunal, place the application there, and the tribunal is free to give him or her extra time. So I gave you 2 examples. Since there is paucity of time, I cannot give you more examples. Now there are 44 clauses in the Amendment Bill 2024. Now, as far as the ruling party members, rather I would say the NDA members are concerned, we moved 24 amendments in respect of 14 clauses. And I tell you, you can cross-check most of these amendments that we moved were in line with their thoughts, with the thoughts of the people whom we had met, with the thoughts of the opposition members of the Joint Parliamentary Committee. So I think to say that, we did not listen, we did not give them importance, I think this is absolutely far from the truth. Everybody has been taken along, and this has been a meticulous exercise, but I would say that these people, those people who are criticizing all through, must remember that the main intention, the main motive of Prime Minister Modi's government towards bringing about this particular amendment bill was to ensure transparency in the management of Waqf and to ensure efficient management of Waqf. There are more than 8 lakh properties as per the WAMSI portal of the Ministry of Minority Affairs as of now. Most of them are encroached upon. Most of them are not giving the kind of income that it should generate for the people who are managing. So I think it's very important to go for efficient management, and we have given importance to the weaker sections of the population, the weaker section among the Muslims. You just talked about the Aga Khani Bora Muslims, you talked about the Pashmanda Muslims. Let us talk of women too. Women are also there, and we have tried to make it as inclusive as possible, and therefore 2 persons who are non-Muslims would be part of the state Waqf boards and the Central Waqf Council. So I think we have adopted an inclusive approach which should be appreciated.
That's the point of contention. That's the clause 40 is the point of contention that we still oppose. If the endowment is a Muslim religious trust, what is the necessity of a non-Muslim in there? When all the appointees are from the government side, as of now, none of them is a public member selected by the government, the respective state governments, then what is the necessity to include non-Muslim? We have got a very bitter example of the Sambal DM out here. We have got very bitter examples of how the government can be partisan in matters of religious rights of different communities. So it's better to let the government, let the community manage its own affairs, own religious endowments, or otherwise dissolve the entire Waqf board. Let the mutawalis manage their own properties. What is the difference in that? When the religion says that you can donate a property to a particular cause, our concern was that that cause has been vitiated by vested interest, by developers, by property brokers who have been taking over these properties by hook or crook in management, in connivance with the corrupt government officials in the Waqf board. But there is a very important issue like the clause 9 which was not discussed, clause 28, clause 40, which are point of contention that still remain.
Okay, let her respond and then you can take this forward. Okay, yes. Yes, Aparajita ji.
I have been a member of the Joint Parliamentary Committee. I consider it my pleasure and privilege. I was part of all the meetings, if I can say so. And to say that we have not gone clause by clause, we have not discussed clause by clause, I think is not correct. So I think we have to have our records straight and we should know what happened inside the room, only then we should speak. Now let me tell you, I'll give you an example. I gave you 2-3 examples. that we have given importance to the opinions that came from different corners. Now, one more example I'll give. Why did we go for this? You know, it's very important for all the citizens of the country to know how many Waqf properties are there and where, and what are the details of these Waqf properties. It's very important to have all these in public domain. It never happened. We had the Principal Act 1995, we had the Waqf Amendment Act 2013, and thereafter Prime Minister Modi's government brought about this Amendment Bill 2024 because we wanted to rectify all the mistakes. I'll give you an example. The Amendment Act 2013 was notified on 1st of November 2013. Now, that particular act very categorically stated that within 1 year of this notification date, 1/11/2013, the entire Waqf property, all the Waqf properties, I should say like that, all the Waqf properties in the country should be uploaded in the portal, and it should be visible to the public to ensure transparency. Believe me, so many years have passed. I think 7 + 4, 11 years have passed, and the Waqf properties have not been uploaded, the details have not been uploaded in the portal, in the WAMSI portal. So I think there was inefficient management of the whole thing. There was tremendous amount of corruption, and the people who were managing were not getting the kind of income that they should have got from the Waqf property.
Right. Aparajita ji,
and there was huge encroachment.
I think
So
one
actually
objection,
for these matters only, this particular
the two non-Muslims
bill
will
has
be
been brought.
included in
Yeah.
the Waqf Council. Now, they or even in the state Waqf boards. I think there is an objection that Kamru Chaudhary raised, saying that this is a Muslim affair. Why should there be non-Muslims in this panel, in this council or in the Waqf board?
No, this is extremely unfortunate. What's wrong if the non-Muslims are also being brought in? Apart from the ex officio members, very well written, very clearly written in the bill that you can see, which we have adopted today, that 2 non-Muslims would also be brought in, minus the ex officio members. Now, what's wrong if we want to make it more inclusive? I mean, I did not like the expression of my esteemed colleague on the panel. He said ulterior motive of the government. Why should there be any ulterior motive? What did you do to rectify the mistakes? Do you know how many Waqf properties are there in the country? Do you know how much money we are getting from these Waqf properties? I think many of the elite people, I won't say Hindus or Muslims.
One is just asking
Hindus
the
also
rationale
have
behind.
made Waqf. Let me tell you.
What is the rationale behind
No,
it?
rationale is inclusivity. Inclusivity. I said in my speech, inclusivity. We wanted to have an inclusive approach towards the whole management of the resources, and that is why we brought the non-Muslims. Now remember, in 2013 Act and in the Principal Act 1995, we had the mention of 2 women. Now here, even in the state Waqf board and in the council, there would be women. We have not said no to women, so women would be there. We are also trying to have separate boards of Aga Khani and Vora Muslims, Pashmanda Muslims. Interests are also being taken care of. So let the poor Muslims benefit from this entire exercise of handling the Waqf properties. This is the sole intention of the government. An inclusive approach is always better. What's wrong?
But the counter there is, and allow me, that the counter there is that this is supposed to be a Muslim affair. The Waqf is a Islamic principle. Now, is that got to do with certain lands that actually are belong to non-Muslims, which come under dispute to decide on that? Or is there another reason? Now, why would a Waqf property that is supposed to be Muslim management of Muslims for Muslims, and it is donated for a specific person under the Islamic laws, why would a non-Muslim have a role to play there is a question that's being asked.
I must put forth very clearly that Hindus have also been permanently dedicating properties for Muslim charitable purposes. So let us have inclusive approach towards the whole thing. I am talking of Hindus also have been doing. Now here we are talking of practicing Islam for 5 years. Now this is a reason why we have done this. Practicing Islam for 5 years, very important to understand this part. You know, anybody coming up and saying, I want to do this Waqf. So it was being misutilized of the provisions of the Act. And that is why basically to prevent the misutilization of the provisions of the Act, we had to do this. And yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
I have
Any
run out.
question?
I have run out of time, but we'll quickly do this another 2 minutes. Yes. Please keep the question short. I've run out of time, Kamruji, plus, and then we'll request our president to respond.
Is very idealistic to listen to honorable MP out here, but the fact remains is that a Muslim can never be a board member of other religious trusts, be it the Christian or the Hindus or the Buddhist or the Jains. But very conveniently, Hindus can be member of the Waqf board. When a property dispute is being educated by a rank higher than that of a collector, who might be a Hindu, who might not be a Muslim, then what is the problem?
Is your objection that they will not be Muslim, or is your objection that they may be Hindu? Because the person could be a Sikh, the person could be a Christian, the person could be a Jain,
Anand,
person could be an atheist.
My objection
also.
is to be a non-Muslim. Is to be a non-Muslim.
No, because you specifically said that you are getting a Hindu there. So your objection is that the person may be Hindu, or your objection is that the person is a non-Muslim.
It's always a non-Muslim that I was suggesting or I was talking about.
Okay, now let Aparajita ji respond.
But the inclusivity angle does not hold ground out here. I doubt whether this Waqf amendment bill that they are bringing in will be accepted by the community. Ultimately, I am the donor. I will now take a decision whether I want to keep my properties donated to a particular cause or not.
Sir, free will, you can donate it to a Muslim trust. A lot of Muslim trusts have been kept outside the ambit of the Waqf Act itself, Waqf Amendment Act. Yes, Aparajita ji.
Right. The Joint Parliamentary Committee has really gone deep into the matter and has prepared a 65 pages report which would be handed over to Honorable Speaker tomorrow. Honorable Speaker will decide the future course of action. If he desires, it will be placed in the Lok Sabha for debate. So I think all these questions can come up there, but we have done whatever we had to do with the best of intentions, and all the good intentions should not be doubted all the time.
Noted. 38 sittings, 110 hours of discussion, deliberation. Every clause has been discussed. No clause thereby which has not been discussed, as very clearly said and spelt out here on the right stand by a JPC member, Aparajita Sarangi ji herself. Thank you very much. Thank you for a sane, educated and intelligent conversation here. Concerns raised, answers are made, and let there be a debate on this further in Parliament if the Speaker so considers that this should be tabled.